What's up, everybody? This is Jimmy with Trade and Decoded. It is February 14th, 2025. Happy Valentine's Day. You should buy your loved one my book so that they can help themselves learn how to make, hopefully, potentially make extra money. But all seriousness, today was a shit day in the markets. Now, I can't speak for everybody because I don't know everybody's particular strategy, but I know for the things that matter to most options traders specifically, and also very much for my style of trading, nothing today was comforting. Nothing looked like any sort of confluence. There was moments where Qs and ADD were going down, but SPY was going up. There were moments where Qs were going down and SPY was going up. There was moments where Qs were going up and SPY was going down. None of the puzzle pieces really seemed to fit together. And the interesting part is that we noticed before the market even opened that today just didn't feel right. And even though we should keep that in mind, it doesn't mean that it can't turn into a day that does feel right, which is exactly what happened yesterday. So yesterday in pre-market, I didn't feel very comfortable with what the chart looked like, but then it turned out to be a pretty good day. Today was same feeling in pre-market, but it never turned into a good day. Now, the reason for the title today is we see what we want to see, is because if you took a trade today, at least trading the way that I try and teach or trade myself, you would have had to ignore other rules that would normally keep us away from trading. And thus, if we did take a trade today, like I did, you had to break several rules to get into the trade that you want, but then we find ourselves, at least in my case, justifying why I'm willing to break these rules to take the trade that I took. And that's not okay. That's not okay. See, this is a problem that a lot of people suffer from, including myself. And before we actually get too far into this talk, and it's not going to be a long video, guys, there's no charts to go over today. There was no trades I felt comfortable talking about. There was no trades that really felt comfortable enough to take, other than the one I did take, and it wasn't comfortable. And it immediately went against me. And ultimately, a few minutes later, it was fortunate enough to come down and get me out with a small profit. But that's not the point. The point is we saw a pre-market that wasn't good for the way we trade. We saw things starting from the very beginning that was doing things, we expect certain things to happen and then we expect a certain result. And when we don't get that result, especially after several times of seeing what would normally trigger the result we're expecting, you got to start to put the pieces of the puzzle together and saying, hey, what normally works for my style of trading, whatever that style is not working today. That is the moment we need to be able to walk away. Because if we don't, we'll find a reason to justify doing something that ultimately will be uncomfortable, force you to break rules to do it, and then you end up getting into a trade that you just hope you get lucky enough to make money on. You see, that's a very uncomfortable way to trade. And the reason we do that is because we can't imagine a day that's not worth trading that we don't trade, right? There's many, many reasons for it. If you had a red day yesterday or you didn't trade yesterday and you're looking at today saying, man, I can't have 2 no trade days in a row. That's never happened. And so you force a trade, right? You see what you want to see. And when we get into that mode, we ignore what we really see, because what we want to see is feeding our addiction, feeding our emotions, feeding all of the things that give us the feel goods. And for many people today, and I'll tell you, today was a very difficult day for a lot of people. And I know that because not only did we see it before the market opened, watched it in real time, our red to green pole is way more red than it is green. And that's understandable. And that does not happen very often in our community at all. But that just reiterates. That means that a lot of people took a risk they probably knew was more risky than normal, and they just didn't get lucky as a result of the risk. I got lucky. I got into a trade during higher lows. Immediately, the very next candle I got in, it ripped right through that resistance, just like I would normally expect it to do. And then 3 candles later, fortunately, it came back down and dropped just enough to get us to a point where we could be profitable. But if I would have followed my stop loss rules, I would have lost money. If I would have followed my don't buy puts on higher lows, I would have never been in the trade to worry about it. But instead, I tell myself, Qs are at a resistance, SPY's at a resistance, ADD's trending down, which theoretically is a trade I would take anyway under normal circumstances. But I still didn't stop out where I was supposed to. And the reason I took my particular trade was because I just couldn't imagine having a day where I'm sitting on a microphone talking to people about not trading or sitting here doing my job and not doing anything during my job, right? We spent most of the day talking about why we shouldn't be trading. And then I said, you know what? I think I'm going to take this risk. And it wasn't the smart thing to do, regardless of the outcome. Okay. And the point of this video, again, is to remind yourself that this business is hard enough when things are doing what we hope and expect them to do. It's way, way, way more difficult and way more emotionally charged when you're doing this at a time where we shouldn't be doing it. And the worst part is we knew we shouldn't have been doing it. But what if the chart gets better later? What if I get into this trade even though I don't feel good about it and it ends up being the break of support that I was hoping for and it pays me huge? Guys, the what ifs get people in trouble every single day, right? Every single day. You're in calls, we come up to resistance. What if it doesn't hold? I like to think of it the opposite. What if it does? It's okay. We won't know that answer until we get there. But if it does hold and you have a stop loss in place somewhere in profit, then you can more comfortably take the risk and maybe you can assume what if it gets through the resistance. That's fine, but protect your money first. Okay? Trading is all risk. There is no guaranteed return of profits on any trade that we take ever. All we can do is find the setups that seem to work most often, so we have a higher probability chance of having the trade work out in our benefit versus not. That's all we can do as traders. Okay? So again, I'm not going to share any charts because there's nothing to share. We shouldn't have taken any trades today. Many people did. They made some money, but not as many as did and lost some money. I had people make very little money today and were extremely happy with what they made. Okay? And when I say little money, I'm talking about people who made 2%, 3% gains on a quick trade. And then after seeing the chart the way it was, you start to feel relieved that you made anything and you realize that the risk you just took was crazy and ill-advised and unnecessary. Right? And then you start to feel this feeling of, I should be pretty proud or pretty thankful that I got out of this with no damage or little damage for that matter. All right. So guys, on a day like today, recognize the signs that are bad for options traders specifically. Low volume, and it was dead low this morning. Low volatility. And the move that we got, it would have paid normally way more than it did, percentage-wise. But because there was no volatility in the market, a move that would have paid, say, $1,000 only paid $500. It was literally half of what you would normally expect as a return in a similar move on a normal day. We all recognized that the contracts were not moving at all, even when the chart was. That's bad. That's a sign. We would break and close above resistances and not make it to the next resistance. That's a sign. Things aren't working like normal. There's no follow through because there was no volume on Qs or SPY. Right? We'd put in lower highs. It wouldn't break support. Problem. ADD's going down, Qs are going down, SPY's going up. Big problem. Qs trending down, ADD's going up, SPY's going up. That's a big problem for me. I don't trade against the Qs. All of the signs were there. All of the signs were there. And I still found a reason to take the trade because I only saw what I wanted to see. I wanted to scratch the itch. I couldn't stand being patient. I couldn't stand to remain disciplined and not do anything. Right? As somebody who's commentating on a chart for 3 hours a day, when I don't find anything to commentate, I feel like I'm useless. And in that, it drives me to want to do something for me, right? I want to make myself not feel useless. This is a me problem. But other people suffer from it too. And I like to have moments like this because I like to hold myself accountable. I like to tell people when I screw up and when I make mistakes because no trader follows the rules and stays disciplined 100% of the time. Not a single one. This business is as difficult as it is simply because of our emotions. That's it. Everybody out there has the ability to read a chart, read a pattern, follow a strategy, follow an indicator. That's easy. It's mustering up the courage to execute when you're supposed to or not supposed to, walk away when you're not supposed to execute, and have the discipline to stop yourself out of a trade after you did execute if it doesn't give you the expected results. That's what makes this so goddamn hard. It's not, you're not stupid. It's not that you can't understand. It's just that it's a constant struggle emotionally. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up, guys. I wish it was a better Valentine's Day as far as the markets go. It wasn't. The markets are closed on Monday. Hopefully on Tuesday we get back to some sense of a normal market, although yesterday and the day before were great days in the market. So every day is a new day when it comes to the stock market. All right, we just got to get more diligent and accept the signs when they're being thrown in our face. The market was screaming at us this morning saying, please don't trade me. Please don't trade me. And many of us did it anyway. So without continuing rambling, we're going to wrap it up. I hope you all found some kind of bit of useful information in this video. If you did, please like, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to join our Discord community, we'd love to have you. There's a link down below. And if you'd like to buy my book, well, again, it looks just like this. It's called The Art of Naked Trading. You can find it on Amazon. Very, very helpful. And yeah, so to all my viewers out there, please enjoy your evening. Enjoy your significant others. Relax. And yeah, have a good evening. Have a good weekend. I'll see you guys on Tuesday. Love you.